The distress signal. The emergency beacon cut through the silence of the Galactic Council chamber like a scream in the night. Council leader Morvan stared at the holographic display, his four eyes narrowing as the distress signal pulsed red against the star map. Vulcan Prime, he announced to the assembled representatives. The mining colony. 2,000 civilians trapped. Around the circular chamber, alien delegates shifted uneasily. Everyone knew what was happening in the Vulcan system. The Krath Empire had been raiding the outer colonies for months, taking resources and prisoners. The Vulcans were peaceful traders, defenseless against the Krath warships. "We must send help," said Elder Thomas, the Vulcan representative. His voice cracked with desperation. "Please. They're just miners, families, children." Morvan's face remained neutral, but his silence spoke volumes. The Council had debated the Krath problem for weeks. No one wanted to start a war. The Krath had 12 warships blockading Vulcan Prime. Any rescue attempt would cost lives. "Perhaps we could negotiate," one delegate began. "The Krath don't negotiate," Morvan interrupted. "They take what they want." The chamber fell quiet. Everyone knew the truth, but no one wanted to say it. They were afraid. Then a voice spoke from the back of the chamber. "What about the humans?" All eyes turned to Ambassador Liu. The human representative sat calmly in her seat, her dark eyes scanning the room. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council only 50 years ago, and most species still didn't understand them. Humans were quiet. They traded fairly. They asked endless questions about technology, culture, and history, but they avoided conflicts. Morvan considered the suggestion. The humans were expendable. If they failed, the Council lost nothing important. If they somehow succeeded, the Vulcans would be saved. "Very well," Morvan said. "We formally request human assistance in the Vulcan crisis." Ambassador Liu nodded once. "I'll send the message immediately." 3 days later, Captain Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiant, reading the Council's request on his display screen. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. 2,000 civilians, said Lisa Park, his tactical officer. She looked up from her console. "The Krath have 12 warships. We have 5. "Numbers aren't everything," replied Tom Walsh from engineering. The older man grinned. "Besides, we've got the new systems installed. Been dying to test them." James Cooper, the diplomatic advisor, frowned. "The Council expects us to fail. They think we're soft because we avoid fights." Reed smiled slightly. "Let them think that. It's worked well for us so far." For 50 years, humanity had played the role of peaceful newcomers. They attended council meetings, signed trade agreements, and asked polite questions. But they'd also been watching, learning, studying every species' technology, every military strategy, every weakness. Earth Command had been very clear in their orders. Assess and respond appropriately. Reed knew exactly what that meant. "All ships, prepare for jump," he announced. "We're going to Vulcan Prime." The 5 human vessels moved through deep space in perfect formation. Inside the Defiant, the crew prepared for what was coming. Engineers checked weapon systems. Medical teams prepared emergency supplies. Pilots ran through combat simulations. "Do you think we can really do this?" asked a young ensign. Walsh put a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Son, when someone asks for help, humans don't ask if it's possible. We just do it." The fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Vulcan system. Immediately, sensors detected the Krath blockade surrounding the planet. 12 massive warships bristling with weapons held position in orbit. On the bridge of the Krath flagship, Commander Vorgath noticed the human ships appearing on his scanners. He laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through his command center. "5 ships?" he said mockingly. "The Council sends children to fight warriors." He opened a communication channel. "Human vessels, this is Commander Vorgath of the Krath Empire. Turn back now, or we'll add your bones to our collection." On the Defiant, Reed listened to the threat calmly. His crew watched him, waiting for orders. He took a slow breath, then replied, "Commander Vorgath, this is Captain Marcus Reed of Earth. We received a distress call from Vulcan Prime. We're here to help." Vorgath's laughter grew louder. "Then you'll die with them. I'm giving you one chance to run, softskins." Reed turned to his crew. His voice was cold and steady. "All ships, battle stations. Charge all weapons. Prepare rescue teams." He looked at the view screen showing the Krath fleet ahead. "Show them what humans do when someone asks for help." The human ships began moving forward in perfect formation. On the Krath flagship, Vorgath stopped laughing. He gave the order to attack, confident in his superior numbers. He had no idea what was coming. The judgment. The first Krath plasma cannon fired, sending a brilliant green bolt across the darkness of space. It struck the lead human ship's shields and dispersed harmlessly in a shower of light. On the Krath flagship, Commander Vorgath frowned. Fire again. All ships full barrage. 12 Krath warships opened fire simultaneously. The space between the fleets lit up like a deadly fireworks display. Plasma bolts, missiles, and energy beams rained down on the 5 human vessels. The human shields held. Every single shot was absorbed. Impossible, Vorgath whispered. His intelligence reports had said humans possessed weak defensive technology. They were supposed to be easy targets. On the Defiant, Captain Reed watched the Krath weapons impact their shields without concern. Their plasma frequency is exactly what we predicted. Shields are operating at 98% efficiency. Lisa Park smiled from her tactical station. They're using the same weapons they've used for 100 years. We've studied every battle recording in the Galactic archives. Return fire, Reed ordered calmly. Precision strikes. Target their shield generators first. The human ships responded with weapons the Krath had never seen before. Railguns mounted along the hull fired solid projectiles accelerated to near light speed. The kinetic rounds hit with devastating force. The first Krath ship's shields collapsed instantly. The second round punched through the hull and the warship exploded in a ball of fire. Vorgath's mouth fell open. What? What are those weapons? Sir, they're using physical projectiles, his sensor officer reported. Our shields are designed to deflect energy weapons. These are just hitting us with solid metal at impossible speeds. Evasive maneuvers, Vorgath shouted, but the Krath ships were too slow. 3 more vessels were struck in quick succession. Tom Walsh's experimental EMP missiles launched from the Defiant, detonating near the Krath formation. Electromagnetic pulses washed over 3 warships, frying their systems instantly. The vessels went dark, floating helplessly in space. In less than 2 minutes, humanity had destroyed 1 ship and disabled 3 others. The remaining 8 Krath vessels scattered in panic. All ships pursue, Reed commanded. Don't let them regroup. The human fleet split into coordinated attack groups, each targeting specific Krath vessels. The formations were perfect, the timing flawless. Every human captain knew exactly where to be and when. Vorgath watched his fleet crumble around him. 50 years, he thought bitterly. The humans had spent 50 years studying everyone. They'd built weapons specifically designed to counter each species' defenses. They'd learned every tactical mistake the Krath had ever made. Sir, we need to retreat, his second officer urged. Vorgath looked at his scanners. The human ships had already surrounded his formation. There was no escape. While the battle raged above, Lisa Park coordinated with the trapped Velkans on the planet's surface. Elder Thomas, we're coming to get you. Mark the evacuation zones. Thank you, the old Velkan's voice trembled with emotion. Thank you for coming. Human dropships descended through the atmosphere, their shields deflecting fire from the Krath ground forces. Tom Walsh's team had precise targeting data for every Krath position. Surgical strikes disabled the enemy troops without harming any nearby civilians. Within minutes, human soldiers were on the ground, helping families board the evacuation ships. 1 soldier carried a frightened Velkan child to safety, shielding the young one with his own body. Not a single civilian was harmed. Above the planet, Commander Vorgath made his final stand. His flagship was the last functional Krath vessel. The others were destroyed or drifting dead in space. Human captain, he transmitted, his voice desperate. I was following orders. The Krath Empire will avenge this. You're starting a war. Reed's face appeared on Vorgath's view screen. The human captain's expression was cold, his eyes hard as steel. You preyed on the weak. You ignored their cries for help. You thought mercy was weakness. Reed leaned forward. Now face judgment. The Defiant's railguns fired 1 last time. Not to destroy, but to disable. Vorgath's ship went dark, life support barely functioning. Reed wanted survivors. He wanted them to carry a message: the battle was over. 12 Krath warships defeated, 0 human casualties, 2,000 Velkans rescued and safe aboard human medical ships. James Cooper sent a simple message to the Galactic Council. Mission accomplished. Velkans are safe, but Reed wasn't finished. He opened a broadcast on all frequencies across the entire sector. Every species, every ship, every station would hear his words. To any who prey on the helpless, Reed's voice echoed across space. Humanity hears every distress call. We don't ask for permission. We don't debate in councils. When someone cries for help, we bring justice. He paused, letting the words sink in. Remember this day. Remember what happens when you threaten the innocent. The message spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the halls of aggressive empires, military leaders suddenly reconsidered their plans. In peaceful colonies, families dared to hope again. Everything had changed. The new order, the Galactic Council chamber, erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted over each other, their voices mixing into an incomprehensible noise. The holographic display showed the battle footage on repeat. 12 Krath warships destroyed or disabled in minutes by just 5 human vessels. Council leader Morvan slammed his staff against the floor, demanding silence. Order. I will have order. The chamber slowly quieted. All eyes turned to Ambassador Liu, who sat calmly in her seat, hands folded in her lap. You lied to us, Morvan accused, his 4 eyes blazing. You said humans were peaceful. You've been hiding your true strength all along. Liu stood gracefully and walked to the center of the chamber. Her voice was steady and clear. We never lied. Humans are peaceful, but peace doesn't mean weakness. She looked around the room, meeting each delegate's gaze. For 50 years we listened. We learned. We studied every species, every conflict, every failure. We prepared for the day when someone would truly need help, not political games. You could have warned us, another delegate protested. Would you have believed us? Liu asked simply. Would any of you have taken us seriously? Silence answered her question. Elder Thomas, the Velkan representative, rose from his seat. Tears streamed down his weathered face. While you all debated and discussed, my people were dying. Only the humans acted. Only they answered our call. He activated a holographic display. Images filled the chamber. Human soldiers carrying Velkan children to safety. Medics treating wounded civilians. Engineers rebuilding damaged structures. In every image, humans worked alongside Velkans with care and compassion. They didn't come as conquerors, Thomas said, his voice breaking. They came as protectors. They risked their lives for strangers. Can any of you say the same? The chamber fell silent. Several delegates looked away, shame crossing their alien features. Across the galaxy in the war chambers of the Krath Empire, Emperor Kroll stared at the same battle footage. His military advisors stood nervously around him. 12 ships, Kroll repeated slowly. They destroyed 12 of our best warships with 5 vessels. Yes, Emperor, his chief advisor confirmed. Our intelligence was completely wrong. Human weapons are decades ahead of anything we've encountered. Kroll's claws dug into the armrests of his throne. Rage and fear warred within him. The Krath Empire had built its power on intimidation and overwhelming force. But the humans had just demonstrated that Krath's strength meant nothing. What are our options? Kroll demanded. Fight and lose everything, the advisor said quietly, or make peace. For the first time in his reign, Emperor Kroll felt genuine fear. He had poked a sleeping giant, and that giant had barely flexed its muscles. Send a message to Earth, Kroll ordered, the words tasting like poison. Official apology. Cease all raids in council space immediately. Aboard the Defiant, Captain Reed stood on the bridge watching the stars. The fleet was heading back to Earth, their mission complete. The rescued Velkans were safe in medical ships, receiving care and heading to temporary homes. Captain, Lisa Park approached him. Do you think we did the right thing? Some of the council members are angry. Reed turned to her. We answered a cry for help. That's always right. Tom Walsh laughed from his engineering station. We're going to get more distress calls now. Everyone in the galaxy knows humans will actually show up. Reed smiled slightly. Good, let them come. That's why we're here. On Earth, military commanders gathered in the Global Defense Headquarters. Maps of the galaxy covered the walls, showing human fleet positions and potential trouble zones. The Velkan rescue was a success, the commanding general announced. But it's also changed everything. Species across the galaxy are now requesting our protection. We can't police the entire galaxy, one officer objected. We don't need to police it, another replied. We just need to respond when help is truly needed. Establish rapid response fleets. Make it clear that distress calls will be answered. The general nodded. Humanity's role isn't to conquer or control. It's to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Back at the Galactic Council, Ambassador Liu prepared to make her final statement. The chamber was packed, with representatives from dozens of species waiting to hear her words. "You asked us to help the Vulcans," Liu began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast room. "You thought we would fail or die trying. Instead, you learned what humanity truly is." She paused, letting the words settle. "We're not conquerors. We're not politicians. We're not saints. We're simply the ones who answer when help is needed." Her expression hardened. "And we bring judgment to those who prey on the innocent." The chamber remained silent as she returned to her seat. Across the galaxy, the impact of her words rippled outward. On peaceful worlds, families installed human-made distress beacons, knowing help would come. In aggressive empires, military leaders reconsidered their expansion plans. The balance of power had shifted forever. Captain Reed's fleet patrolled the borders of known space when a new distress signal appeared on the display. A small colony, under attack by raiders. Reed didn't hesitate. "All hands, battle stations. Someone needs help." The human ships jumped to faster than light speed, disappearing into the stars. Behind them, the message remained clear. Humanity was watching. And when the helpless called for aid, judgment would follow.